Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or if this is the first video of mine you are seeing, then welcome. So in my video where I talked about all of my fall eyeshadow palettes in my little basket right here, I asked if any of you would love to see some fall inspired eye looks. I did get quite a lot of responses from you saying yes, so I will be doing 5 fall eye looks for you here, but to make it even more fun, I have a random generator wheel here on my Tiny Decisions app, and I'm going to be letting it pick my palette each day, so I don't know what I'm working with. That's why I don't have any blush or lip products on at the moment, because I don't know exactly which palette it's going to pick, but just what is on the rest of my face in case you're interested. It is items from my everyday makeup drawer. For foundation, I am wearing the Patrick Ta foundation, and then for my under eyes, I am wearing the Cali Ray Hideaway Corrector in Cool Sunrise and the NYX Pro Fix Stick Concealer in the shade Fair. I like mixing these two together. And then of course on my eyelids I'm just using my Tower 28 Serum Concealer and my Get Set Pressed Powder. And then for the brows I'm wearing the Laura Geller Sculpt and Stay Brow Pencil and the CoverGirl Brow Enhancer Gel. And then I put on a little bit of this Wet n Wild Color Icon Bronzer in Ticket de Brazil. So that is everything that I've done so far. And all of those items will probably remain the same with all of these eye looks. So let me zoom in a little bit here. And let me pull up my little app. And I'm going to let it pick out a palette for me. I have all of my fall eyeshadow palettes here in this little random generator, so I'm just going to let it pick one of these for me. I don't know, I thought that would keep it much more interesting than if I just chose the palette myself. So let's see what it gets me here. Okay. The Tarte Maneater After Dark eyeshadow palette. Pull that palette out without messing up my basket here. That is this palette right here. And we have a color story like this. This very, very beautiful palette. So we have some of these more mustard tones, some greens. Let's see, so what route do I want to take this? Maybe I did a green look recently. Maybe I want to do some of these mustard tones. You know what, we'll just go with it. So on a Sigma E54, I am going to go into the shade Desire. Also, it goes without saying that if you don't have any of these palettes that I'm going to be working with this week, it's completely okay. A lot of these palettes are not even available anymore. This would be one of them. But I am sure you have something very, very similar in your collection already, or you might have some of these palettes already. But this was just for fun, just to give you some inspiration in case you're looking for some fall eye inspo. But if you have these shades in your collection, just follow along like that. I did a green eye look quite recently, so I thought that it might be fun to do something a little bit more on this yellow kind of vibe. Maybe we'll do a sunflower eye. It might not go completely with my top, but like I said, I had no idea what eyeshadow palette it would pick out for me. I just thought that would make it a little bit more fun, just interesting. All right, this is a Rare Beauty concealer brush. I'm just going around the edges of that just to make sure it's nice and blended out. There's nothing else on this brush, just whatever was left of my setting powder. All right, and using that same brush, we are going to take this shade right here, the shade Alluring, and we're going to press that right out here. I think it would be fun to do a very pretty sunflower kind of inspired eye. Why not? Not to mention, this is definitely a classic fall with the yellow and the brown. I see where there are a lot of holiday sets coming out on Sephora's app right now. I've been looking at some of them. And not to mention, there's just been some makeup coming out that has just interested me, but I'm going to have to back off right now. I just bought the Hourglass palettes. So all this other stuff is just going to have to wait because, I mean, not right now. Not right now. Natasha Denona released a new foundation. She's going to have 2 new eyeshadow palettes coming out that are, I think they're like an expansion of that little 5-pan she has that's all matte. One of them is more of lighter tones and the other one is more of deeper tones. They're both very pretty, but I don't know if they really catch my attention that much, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I think it's just because I compare a lot of her palettes in my mind to the I Need a Nude, which is my favorite, and I just don't think she's going to ever release a palette that I'm going to like better than that one. Right, I think that's really pretty. If you love a sunflower eye for the fall time, which I absolutely do, I love to see like a sunflower eye. In fact, I have a video here on my channel where I did a sunflower makeup tutorial. It probably was last year. I love that look so much. I don't remember what palette I used. It might have been that, I think it was the Profusion Harvest palette. See, if you have that palette, you can easily recreate this eye look too because it has some of these tones in it as well. Okay, and then I'm going to go into that Sundown shade. And I'm going to apply that with my finger right in here. Maybe it's still a little sunflower-ish because I can still see that pop of yellow. But this might have made it a little bit more bronzy. Well, I mean, it's still very much a fall-inspired eye look. But if you wanted to stick with the sunflower vibes, you might could have just used Desire on the lid again, like the shade I used in the crease. Use that on the lid. That might would have kept it more of that kind of look. I still like this. This is still very much fall though. But I am going to go back into that Desire shade, which was the shade I took into my crease. And I want to add a little bit of that up here. Bring some of that yellow tone back into the look. Okay, on a ColourPop E6, which is just an angled brush, I am going to go into the shade Passion. And I'm going to run that along the outer half of that lower lash line. Then on the same brush, I'm going to take the shade Heartbreaker. And I'm going to apply that right here to the beginning half of that lower lash line. It's a very, very sparkly shade. And then going back into that Sigma E54, I am going to pick up some of the shade Playful and pop that right in here. This is just like a matte shade, but I want to see if it would give me, yeah, just a little pop of brightness. You know, I think that if I had this look all over again, I do like it. I think it is definitely very much fall inspired. But what I would have done is take that same Desire shade, put that all over the lid, and then take the shade Playful and put that over the top just to give it a little bit more of a lighter yellow, and I think that would have kept more with the sunflower vibe. So if you have this palette and you want that sunflower look, that probably would have been a good option. I wish I had thought about that, but I still like this look because this is definitely still a beautiful fall time look with these golden and brown shades. I do still think it's a beautiful fall inspired eye. So I'm not like complaining, I like the look. I just meant that if I wanted to keep those sunflower vibes I was originally going for, I think those two shades would have worked better for me for what I was looking for, but I do like the look. So I'm just going to apply some blush, a lip, mascara. I'm going to do all of that and then I'll come right back. Okay, so here is this completed look. I really love this very beautiful warm tone makeup look. So for the blush, I'm wearing the House Labs Color Fuse blush in the shade Fire Moon, which if this isn't the perfect fall blush, I don't know what is. It's absolutely stunning. And for the lips, I'm wearing the Tower 28 one liner in Color Me Fine. Then the CoverGirl Clean the Lip Color lipstick in Maple Glaze. And over the top of that, I'm wearing the Too Faced Lip Injection Maximum Plump. This one is Maple Syrup Pancakes, but this one was limited edition, but I placed that over the top because I thought it was a perfect shade with these two. I will say it doesn't burn like it used to, but this is probably like a year old at this point. So it just kind of gave a slight tingle. So it doesn't burn like it used to because I was wondering if it would. That is the first look. On to look number 2. Okay, so we're on to look number 2. I'm going to let it pick my next palette for me right here. So let's see what we get. Stila Berry Bouquet palette. And this is what this palette looks like. There's the outside, which is really, really beautiful. And then we have the inside right here. Really beautiful berry toned palette. It's extremely pigmented. So let me zoom in a little bit more here. And I'm wearing the same exact like base products that I was yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to take my Sigma E54 and I am going to start with this shade right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it with this middle shade. But this shade on its own is really deep for my crease. So I just want to mix these two together just to see if that would lighten up that shade a little bit more. Okay, I didn't dip in much. The first time I ever used this palette, I got the surprise of my life with how pigmented that shade was. And it took me a while to blend it out because I had just applied too much of it. Now it blends out easily, but I meant that because I had applied too much, it took me a lot longer to blend. So see, this is much better. Just went in with a small amount of that shade and mixed in just one tap of that middle shade in the palette. So I'm tapping 2 times into that more burgundy looking shade and then once in that center shade, and that's giving me more than enough for what I want for my crease. We're going to be doing a really pretty berry toned eye. Now this palette from Stila is limited edition, so I'm not sure how long they're going to keep this palette around. They have 4 in total. The other 3 are permanent, at least for now, but this one is limited edition. So I'm going to use that same brush and I'm going to go into this shade right here. I'm going to try to use these shades with my brush because it's just easier to keep them in more of a precise location. If I have to go in with my finger, I will, but I'm going to try not to. I'm going to see if this will just work on its own. Oh yeah, it works very well. I went in with a little bit more to tap into that crease, like right directly into my crease. Okay, I'm not exactly sure why, but that shade's going on kind of patchy, but the first time I used it, I didn't have that issue. Let me try adding a little bit more with my finger. Maybe that just, it needs that. I'm not sure, it just looks a little patchy. It didn't do that the first time I wore it. Okay, so I'm going to try on this other eye to use my finger and see if that helps. Maybe it was the brush, because I might have applied this the first time with my finger, so we'll see. Maybe it was just the brush application that kind of messed it up. No, it's doing the same thing on this side, but I don't remember it doing that the first time. Of course, I might not have used this in like larger amounts. I don't remember what eye look I created. I just feel like it's going on kind of patchy. Maybe it's not laying right over the powder I used to set my eyeshadow primer, or maybe I didn't use enough. I mean, it's not like the worst thing, but it's noticeable. Do you see that? How it looks like it's sticking in some areas? Like it's a pretty shade. I love the shade. But I just don't know why it's doing that. Okay, that's probably about as good as I'm gonna get it. I think it looks a little bit better. I just kept kind of building it up some. It's still a little patchy. I don't know. Maybe it's just not wanting to work well with... Maybe I didn't set my concealer enough? Or maybe it's one of those shades that would do better on like an unset lid. Okay, well hopefully when I put in that other shade on the front part, it'll kind of cover up some of that. Because it's a beautiful tone. Like, I love the tone of it. It's just a little bit more trouble this time to work with. But I will continue to, of course, use this palette in the future and see how that shade performs. Because it could have just been I didn't either set well enough, or it just didn't want to respond well to set eyeshadow primer, because it just looks kind of patchy. So this look might not be the greatest today, but I don't have time to wipe it off and start another look, so I'm just going to go in with this shade right here. So I'm just going to take that shade on my finger because it does have sparkle in it, and I'm going to... Ooh, okay, so it's more... Now that shade's extremely pigmented. That's pretty. I love that shade. That shade probably would have applied well with a brush too, but I said, well, since we're here. Now see, I really love the way it looks. Now, up close, it's just a touch patchy, not as bad as it was, it's a touch. But from far off, it's a beautiful cranberry eye, like a cranberry burgundy eye. I don't know, it very much could just been something I did because I don't remember experiencing that the first time I used it. But I think applying this shade is really helping kind of cover that patchiness that was like right here in the center. Well, now that that shade's on, I'm not completely mad at it. And once I put like my mascara on, that'll probably help it too. So I'm going to go back into that Sigma E54. And I'm going to take this shade right here in the palette. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go into a ColourPop E30, which is just a small angle brush. We're going to use that instead. And I'm going to run that along this lower lash line. Now this is one of those shades that would be much better applied with a finger because it's kind of like one of those creamier formulas, but I just kind of wanted to put it in a more precise location, so You can still see it, but it would be one better applied with a finger. I guess this entire palette would be better that way anyway. I don't know. It does seem to respond well that way, and maybe that's the point, just something quick. But I don't know, because I did have trouble with that one shade. Okay, I don't think this shade will go over the top of that very well. I don't know if you'll be able to see it over that deeper, but I'm going to try it anyway on that same colourpop brush. I'm going to take this shade right here. We'll just see if it shows up over the top or not. But I mean, if it doesn't, it's okay. But I just said it's the last shade in the palette, so I figured why not use it? I mean, I've already completed this palette in a no pen left behind style, but it was the last shade, so I figured why not? Now, if you had, of course, a lighter eyeshadow, you can see it a lot better, because it is a pretty pigmented shade. But over that burgundy, you can't really tell, but I can see it up close. Here is this completed look. I'm going to, of course, do some blush and some mascara, but I just want to show you the look right now. I know it might look a little patchy. I think it looks better now than it did, so maybe it just needed, I'm not sure. But I do like the look. See, I love the tones of this. It's like this beautiful cranberry burgundy eye. I do really like the shades, and I don't know what the problem was because I didn't have any issues when I used this palette before, so I'm not sure what happened, but it looks pretty good now. But I do really like these tones. So let me do the mascara and all that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is this completed second look here. I love it a lot more now that the blush and my mascara and this lip, I love this lip. But first things first, let's talk about the blush. I am wearing the Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush, and this one is in the shade Bold Heart. Now, I am taking more of a fluffier brush and giving a light dusting. These are pigmented, so you could probably build this up even more, but I just gave myself a little wash of blush, which is so pretty with this eye look. And then for the lip, I love this lip. I want to wear this more. This is the Makeup by Mario Ultra Suede Sculpting Lip Pencil in Rich Mauve. And over the top of that, I'm wearing the Wet n Wild Lip Oil in Merlot Glass. These two, look at that lip. I love everything about that. Everything about that lip combo. The blush, the eye look. Yes, I did struggle with that eye look a little bit. It doesn't look as patchy now as it did. I don't know. I still like the eye look though. I think that once everything kind of comes together, you don't notice anything if it's patchy or whatever. But I realized what was happening. I didn't have my rings on when I was doing my makeup. And I consider it bad luck when I'm not wearing my rings. I did that to myself. But on to look number 3. So yesterday I accidentally hit that reset wheel button, so it might end up picking one of the two that I've already done. But I want to leave all the palettes in this wheel because after this video is over, I still want to use this to just randomly pick one of these palettes for me on a day-to-day basis. So if it picks one of the same ones, I'll let it spin again. So let's see what we get. Okay, so we got the Too Faced Appley in Love eyeshadow palette, and I'm so excited for that because I was really hoping it would pick this palette because I haven't used this palette in a while, and of course this packaging looks like this. And then we have this really beautiful color story here. I'm so excited to use this one. We are going to be using the greens in this palette today, and I'm excited for that. So I'm going to zoom you in and we're going to get started. So on a Sigma E54, I am going to first start out with the shade Turnover. Okay, and I'm going to run that into my crease. I do want to work with some of the green shades in this palette, but I thought it'd be nice to include this pretty yellow shade in the crease. I'm so happy it picked this palette. I was hoping it would. I think they should bring this palette back. It's just so pretty. It's one of the few of these palettes in these tins that actually caught my attention. I mean, some of the other ones they've had in the past have been really pretty, but there was something about this one that I knew I wanted it immediately. Okay, now I'm going to take that same brush and I am going to go into the shade Sweet on You. That's just like a skin tone shade for me. I'm going to go into that so I can go around the edges of this. Just a little bit. Since there is a shade in this palette like that, figured I can get some good use out of some more shades. Okay, using that same brush, I'm going to take the shade Apple Sauced, and I'm going to apply that shade right out here on this outer half of my lid. You know, I really hope these looks are helpful in case you're just looking for some fall inspiration. But I just did like the randomization, like let that little random generator wheel pick out my shades because I felt like that would make it a little more interesting. Oh, and this is the Rare Beauty concealer brush. All that's on it is whatever is left from my setting powder. Just kind of working that right in there just to make sure that deep brown is blended out. Same brush, I'm going to take the shade Pick Me. And I'm going to apply that right in here, all over the front half of the lid. You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to take my finger. Yeah, there we go. Much more impact. Okay, on a colourpop E6, which is just an angled brush, I'm going to go back into that turnover shade, and I'm going to run that across that lower lash line. There's actually another shade that I think I'm going to put over the top of that one, but I wanted to place this shade down first. Okay, and then on that same brush, I'm going to go into the shade Crunch Time. And I'm going to place that over the top of where I just placed that shade. This will give it even more of that golden look. You know what, I could have done just 5 looks using this palette and I would have been very satisfied, but I feel bad sometimes doing stuff like this because these palettes aren't available anymore, but I never want anyone to think that I'm saying you need this palette. I'm sure you have something exactly like it in your collection. This was just for fun, just to do some fall inspired eye looks, or what I interpret as fall looks. I don't know if this one is fall or not. I like it, but somebody else might say, nah, but I like it. Okay, and then I'm going to go back into that Sigma E54. I don't know if this shade will work the way I'm hoping it will, but if not, I'll place something over the top. I'm going to take the shade Slice Slice Baby. It might not work. It might be a little bit too, but I'm going to try it right here. I'll pop it on that inner corner. Does it do anything? I mean, not really. I mean, it is, but it also isn't. I guess you just have to, I guess if you're going in with a brush, you just have to build it up. But it's hard to get my finger in there with these nails, so I'm just trying to use the brush. Yeah, once you build it up, you can see it. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, just keep building it up if you're using a brush. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this completed look right here. Before I go in with any mascara or anything, I really like this. I really like it. I've been kind of, sort of obsessed with green lately, so I really do like this look. And I like how you see the pop of yellow and the pop of yellow and the way it mixed in with that brown shade on the outer corner here. So I do really like this look. I'm going to go do my blush, the lip, and my mascara, and I'll be right back. Okay, but here's this eye look, and here's the completed look right here. So first things first, what I have on my cheeks, you can see it because I do place my blush over the top of highlighter, so a lot of times that kind of tones the highlighter down a little bit. But if you can see it, it is like a green. It has a green shift to it. It's from Wet n Wild. This is one of their Chameleon Chrome highlighters, and this one is in the shade Too Serious. Now, this is one of those shifty highlighters. I don't know if I can even begin to show you how it shifts. But it has a green shift to it, but this is pure glitter sparkle. So if you're not into that, you won't like these, but I just thought it was so fitting with this look, and I really love this on the eyes. If you watched my video that went up this past Friday, where I was doing my next round of my No Pen Left Behind, you would have seen that all over the eyes, and it's stunning as eyeshadow. Now for the blush, I'm just wearing the Ciel Flush and Protect SPF 45 blush. This one is in the shade Cozy. It's just a really beautiful, soft blush. I'm not wearing too much of it. I just took like a light dusting because I knew the eyes and the lips were going to be really bold, so I just kind of toned the blush down a little bit. Now, as for this deep green lip, I first started out with the Milani. This is one of their Color Fetish lipsticks. This one's in the shade Smoke. I don't believe you can buy Smoke anymore, but it's just a black lipstick. Any black lipstick will do. And then over the top of it, I went in with this Adept Cosmetics and Heather Alston palette. And I used the shade Magnolia, and I placed that all over the top of that black lipstick. And I don't know, maybe it really doesn't look good on me at all, but you know what? I don't care because I do really like it. I don't have anything like that in my collection, of course not, because I'm definitely much more feel like I got a little bit of shine breakthrough here because I've always been definitely much more of a neutral girl, and I know that I don't really need a separate lipstick when I can create that lip combo with this and an eyeshadow, but it is kind of time consuming to really stamp that eyeshadow over the lip, but I really do like it. I do like that. Yep. I don't know, maybe it looks horrible on me. I don't know, but I like it. So, I mean, that's what counts in my opinion. If you like it on you, that's all that counts. On to look number, what number are we on? This is 3. Okay, so on to look number 4. Okay, so we're on to look number 4. I have my app already ready for it to pick my new palette. So let's see what we get. Okay, the Adept Cosmetics and Heather Alston eyeshadow palette. Okay, this is what this palette looks like. It's a very beautiful palette, and this shade shifts from like a green, maybe you can see it better like that, to an orange, and it's really beautiful. So I might end up using a shade like that, but we shall see. So I'm going to take my Sigma E54 and I'm going to go into the shade Mythology. And I'm going to start applying that into my crease. I think this is the last random generated palette I'm going to do. I think I might pick my own palette tomorrow, because there was one palette I was hoping that this week it would pick, and it hasn't picked it at all, so I think I might just pick my own tomorrow. Okay, I'm just going around that shade with this Rare Beauty concealer brush. There's nothing else on this brush, just whatever was left of my setting powder. Even though I might have to go in with a face powder. So I am going to take my Tower 28 Get Set pressed powder in the translucent shade and go around the edges of that. Well, I mean, I don't know. I seem to be getting along better with the matte shades today. Well, at least this first matte shade today. I don't think that's a terrible formula or anything, but I just know that sometimes, I think it was more so with the Flying Fiddles palette I have from Adept, that I did struggle a bit with blending out the mattes. They wanted to go on a little bit patchy, but this one doesn't seem to be doing that. Okay, and using that same brush, I'm going to take the shade Magnolia. This is the shade I used yesterday all over the lips, like on top of that black lipstick. Well, you know, I'm getting along so far a little bit better with the matte shades, so maybe I'm just remembering wrong. That's such a pretty green shade. Okay, and then I'm going to go into that Smith shade, which does shift from that pretty green to an orange. I definitely spoke way too soon because I'm actually getting along very well with this palette. So I'm not exactly sure what I was talking about. And I'll have to reuse Flying Fiddles again just to see if I still have the same experience. Oh wow, that's gorgeous. Look at that. So pretty. I know this is another green look, but I will say that I've just been really into the greens lately. I just think that's so stunning. I love that. But this is a different green look than what I did yesterday. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's really probably only so much you could do with fall looks, like, you know, the greens, the orangey shades, browns. I mean, you know. But the palette that I want to pick tomorrow, I'm hoping that I can make it look, look at where I just put that eyeshadow right there. Some of it got on my nail, I guess. But the palette that I want to pick for tomorrow has like kind of these more purpley tones in it, and I want to create a look with that. So there won't be a randomly generated palette tomorrow. Oh, I love this look. Look how pretty that shade is. Okay, now for the lower lash line, I have this NYX Vivid Rich Mechanical Liner in the shade Emerald Empire. This is a beautiful deep green shade. This was what I was wearing as liner in my No Pen Left Behind video, my last update. And I'm just going to take that and run that all across the lower lash line. You could also use Magnolia again, but I do have this in my collection now, and I'm trying to use it as much as I can. And then I'm going to go back into that Sigma brush and just lightly go over that. Okay, and then I'm going to take the shade Alston on a Sigma E54, and I'm going to pop that right in here. Might be kind of hard to pick it up with a brush. See if I can try to get in there like that. It's a little bit harder with the nails, but it works. So here is this completed look before I go in with mascara and everything. It's so pretty. I love that. And that deep green liner from NYX is so perfect for this look because it's basically like an eyeliner form of that magnolia shade. So I really like that. So I'm going to do everything else and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is this completed makeup look. I really do love it. And I'm wearing that highlighter again that I wore yesterday. This is the Wet n Wild Chameleon Chrome Highlighter in the shade Too Serious. I just love to wear this when I'm wearing a green eye. And then for my blush, I'm wearing the Fenty Beauty, the Suede Powder Blush, and this one is in the shade Bacon Cakes, which is so beautiful. It's the perfect like fall shade. And on the lips, I'm wearing the Fenty Beauty Traced Out Pencil Lip Liner in the shade Peanut Butter. And over the top of that, I'm wearing the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Yummy Plumper Gloss. And this one is in Like You a Chocolate. I think they make a really beautiful fall combo. But I will say this is tingling, like a little bit more of a stingy sensation today. The last time I wore it, it felt more cooling. It feels cooling, but then there is also a little bit of spicy mixed in. So I just wanted to mention that in case you're sensitive to any kind of plumper sensation. But I really do like this eye look. I honestly think I like this eye look better than I did the one from yesterday, but then again, I don't know. I love anything with green. I've just fallen in love with any eye looks that feature a green. Not so much a lime now, but like a deep, moody green. I'm not into the lime green. There's nothing wrong with it, of course, but I like more of this moody fall forest green, like, you know, that kind of deep, mossy look. I really like the green shades that are like that, or like a beautiful sage or something like that. Kind of like a green in this Stila palette that looks like that. I'm just really into those kind of shades right now. I don't know where that come from, but I do like this look. So on to the fifth and final look. Okay, so I am filming this particular look very early in the morning, so I mean it's like 5 a.m. So I'm still in my pajamas and everything, but I really want to use this Natasha Denona My Dream palette. This was one of the palettes that I wanted it to pick the entire time, and that's what this palette looks like right here. It's a beautiful palette. It's one of these that's perfect for like a very moody, fall-inspired eye look. I did say something about possibly using this little quad of shades. One of those is like a shifty shade. It goes from like a purpley berry color to a little bit of a green. I don't know if I'm going to use that one because it does have green in it, and I've been doing a lot of green looks. But first things first, we are going to start out on a Sigma E54. I'm going to start with the shade Unity. It never did end up picking this palette, and I really wanted to use it because this was one that I wasn't as sure about, kind of like with her Love palette. I just wanted to have a chance to use it again and just see how I like the look. I wanted to do something a little bit more on the berry kind of side today. Even my pajamas here have berries on them. If I don't seem as talkative in this look, it's because I have not had coffee or anything yet, like not even breakfast. I just woke up, got out of the bed, did my skincare, did part of the rest of my face. I never like to do the blush and lip until after I see what the look looks like, or the eye look. And here I am. So if I'm not as talkative, that would be why. Shades blend out really, really easily. I'm going to go back in with a little bit more of that shade for over here just to deepen that a little bit. Okay, and then using that same brush, I'm going to take the shade Instinct. I'm going to press that on this outer half of my lid. You know, I really hope that you've been enjoying all of these fall-inspired eye looks. I hope that this video is helpful if you are looking for any inspiration. I'm going to take the shade Thrill on my finger, and I'm going to place that on this beginning half of my lid. Go in with a little bit more. You know, I'm really liking this look, but I don't know if it really looks all that fall. I was trying to go for more of a berry kind of vibe. I don't know, maybe a a lip and a blush could pull it together. I still love the look, I just don't know if it's extremely fall inspired, but there might be one more shade I add to it, but then again, I don't know. I really do like it. I just don't know if it's extremely fall-like. But I do really love it. It's very pretty. It does give you that kind of... Now, on camera, it looks a bit more like almost like a reddish, like a cranberry shade, but now in person, it's much more of like a purple, like an orchid kind of shade. I know sometimes my camera doesn't pick up shades true to color. See, like what I'm looking at in that viewfinder looks more of like a cranberry, but in person, yeah, it's a beautiful, almost like an orchid shade. It's very, very pretty. It matches my pajamas very well. I don't know if I should add anything to it because I really do like it, but I don't know if it's extremely fall, but maybe the lip and stuff can pull it together. So I'm going to take a ColourPop E30, which is just an angled brush, and I am going to go into the shade Edgy, and I'm going to place that right here on this outer half of this lower lash line. That shade kind of looks almost like the Instinct shade. It might just be a touch darker, but it's like the same kind of tone. And I know I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to try taking that same brush and going into that Vision shade, because can I show you how it goes to a green? I know for my indie brand lovers that's not that exciting, but I think it's pretty good that a mainstream brand has something like that, because not a lot of them do shades like that. So I'm going to take that and place that right here in the beginning half of that lower lash line. You know, I don't know what I was talking about or why I don't wear this palette more, but that's why I love doing videos like this. I don't know how much any of you will like a video like this, but I just love revisiting palettes. I think you can still buy this one. I'm not sure if you can buy this one or not. I think you can. But, I mean, that's really not the point. I just mean that it's fun just to revisit palettes, especially ones that you're not sure of. And, I don't know, I've really enjoyed filming this video and doing different eye looks every single day with different palettes. Not even in the same palette, just kind of jumping around to different ones. Okay, so I'm going to go back into that Sigma E54. And I am going to go into the Spontaneous shade. And I'm going to pop that on that inner corner. It might not be bright enough for my inner corner, but I am just gonna place it there anyway. Oh no, it shows up. It's very pretty. Now I know it would show up even more if you used your finger, but I just wanted to use a brush. Okay, so here is this look. It looks more red on camera, but in person it's not like that. It's a very beautiful orchid-y purple. It's definitely much more purple than what you're seeing on camera, or at least what I'm seeing in my viewfinder. Like, it looks like there's a lot more red to it. It's definitely not red. It's a really beautiful purpley tone. So I hate that you can't see it true to color. I don't know how I can fix that. I don't know if I can fix that. But it's very, very pretty. It's a beautiful purple shade. So I'm going to do the rest of my makeup, like my blush, mascara, and all that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is this completed makeup look for the fifth and final one. I really like this one. I feel like I'm kind of might not be as blended right there because that blush is extremely pigmented. But the blush I'm wearing is from Tower 28. This is one of their Get Set blushes, and this one is in the shade Pally Punch. It is perfect for this eye look. Like, I just think it matches so perfectly. And for what is on my lips, I'm just wearing one thing. This is the Wet n Wild lip oil, and this one is in Merlot Glass. Look how beautiful and pigmented that is. And that's all I'm wearing, no lip liner or anything. This is really beautiful. I like these from Wet n Wild. They're really nice. But I do really like this look. I think it's very pretty. It might not be extremely fall, but it does have that purpley berryness to it, so I'm just going to count it. And I still think it's a really pretty look regardless of the seasons, but this one might not be too fall, but I still really do like it. I enjoyed using that palette today. I definitely want to use it some more. But you'll have to let me know which of the 5 looks was your favorite. I love hearing from you. I love talking with you in the comments section, so let me know which one's your favorite. But I do hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I hope you will please consider leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing if you haven't already. And make sure you hit the bell icon so you are alerted to all my future uploads. And follow me on Instagram at jessicadeerly. All of these products will be listed and linked for you below. They are affiliate links, so if you click through and purchase, I do earn a small commission. And if you choose to do so, thank you so much for supporting me and my channel, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!